In this video, we sit down with my dear friend Dani from Dani The Explorer as she shares with us how to turn your following, whether that's from Instagram, a blog, an email newsletter, or any other type of audience, into profitable brand deals with companies that align with your niche. Let's dive into it. My name is Dani Rodriguez. People know me as Dani The Explorer, which is my travel blog. And that's also the name of my Instagram as well, where I really started getting into paid brand deals, doing the whole full-time influencer thing. But I got my start after I got fired from my 9 to 5. Long story long, but also short. I was working at a marketing agency and I actually despise social media. This was in college. I just thought that it was so stupid, really, that people were posting on Instagram. And at the time, it was just you would take selfie photos and you would use all of the really terrible, awful Instagram filters like Hudson or Houston, whatever the heck the name was. You'd post it up and yay, your friends like it. And I just thought it was really silly. So I didn't have any of it. But when I went to this marketing agency, it was like a whole new world. They said, hey, you're young. Why don't you do social media for our clients? And I was like, okay. So obviously being the person that was so anti-social media, I didn't know what to expect. Once I started learning more about it, seeing the really cool things that you could do, especially for businesses, posting, getting traffic to your pages, there's just a whole slew of things you could do with socials. That's when I started actually getting more into it. And I really fell in love. I started taking everything that I was learning, applying it to my own socials. And at the time I was doing like weekend hikes and adventures and travels with my boyfriend. And I would post little photos that we would take along the way. When I eventually got let go from that job, I said, well, naturally, I guess I should just see if I can make money from this thing. I had built up just over time from posting, I had built up these other skills that I didn't really expect to have, like taking photos, now photography, talking to the camera too. So there's like all of these other skills that I was building on, and it ended up helping me a ton because I used that to pitch brands and basically sell my services for content creation, which is now called UGC, ironically. I would tell brands, yeah, I'm a professional photographer and I can do these product photos for you and I can make these social posts, etc., etc. It took a long time. I'm like really shortening the timeline here, but eventually when I started to get a few yeses, I was able to build up a portfolio and turn that into a full-time business. This journey probably started in like 2017. Then it took me until maybe like 2019 to really start seeing traction from things because brands still really didn't know what the heck influencers could do for them. It was a very, very new space. It turned into a full-time business. I was able to work with REI, Mazda, Adobe, American Express, lots of different tourism boards, and they would pay me to, again, create, post on Dani the Explorer. As that page grew, I started getting more brand deals as well. That is where my journey began. I started managing other people and their brand sponsorships 2023 going into 2024. And what actually happened there was after I had done so much full-time influencer work, 2019, my boyfriend and I lived in a camper van and we were like on the road all the time. We were constantly doing brand deals. When the pandemic hit, I was forced to stop and I was kind of like, well, what do I do now? I'll go ahead and teach other people how to go ahead and do the influencer stuff. I had so much downtime on my hands because we weren't traveling. From 2019 to 2020, I went into coaching. And then just from growing a student base, teaching others how to do it, I started to really hone in on my craft of like, okay, well, how can maybe even other niches and start doing paid brand deals? Little did I know that that would become very important later on because doing the coaching stuff and even stopping my own brand deal things just to help students. Influencer that I knew from the space reached out to me and they were like, you know so much about doing paid brand deals and you've helped so many people do it at this point. Have you ever thought of like actually managing them yourselves for other influencers? I was like, no, but I'd be so open to it. I had a conversation with that creator and they became my first client and I started managing their brand deals. Like I said, that was maybe like October 2023. And then from there, I started getting other clients. Now that's primarily what I do actually in my business is do the management of brand deals for creators and other VA work and stuff. It all started with going from full-time creator to teaching others to then being, well, can you help me do this? And now I do that too. So that's how that journey went. I can give a range. It can be very, very lucrative. You do not need many followers to do it. I digress. I can explain more into that, but I have clients with close to maybe like 18-ish thousand followers going into 20,000, all the way upwards of 800,000 plus followers. Clients can make anywhere from like 10,000 to 40,000 plus a month from brand deals. It all just depends on seasonality, who your audience is, engagement, also just how much you're prioritizing certain deals. Some of these creators that land $30,000 brand deal, that's like a relationship that they've been nurturing over time. And that brand trusts them to be able to do things over multiple months. There's a lot to go into it. It can be very, very lucrative as long as you have a strategy and you make it a priority for you. A brand deal is in my world is usually when a company is going to pay you as a creator to post about their products on your page. And that can look like a carousel post. That can look like a reel. It can even be a story set. It could be one photo. It could be just a link in bio. You are giving them basically ad space. So if you were to think of your social medias, and this can be Threads, Twitter, or X, it can be Instagram, YouTube, I mean, whatever social platforms, even your email list, you are basically turning your space into like a billboard and you give them that ad space. Brands will pay for everything from the usage rights to be able to use that content afterwards on their own marketing channels, which is where a lot of this money starts coming in. For example, a big term that you hear in the creator space is boosting or whitelisting. And that is when a brand physically goes into the back end of your Facebook account and they put ad spend behind the content that you create for them. And when a user is scrolling through socials, the ad that pops up, it came from your page. So it looks more organic. It's almost like you're giving a celebrity endorsement to a brand, if that really helps you think about what this is. And that costs a lot of money. When you are thinking about a brand deal, it's like holistically, what are you offering a company, right? Because it's not just that ad space, but it is like the exclusivity, the whitelisting, the boosting, and all those little tiny extras. It's all just for marketing for brands to build awareness and conversions on their products and services. I've never thought about my favorite part about doing others' brand deals. I think it just comes into the type of person you have to be for this work and the work itself. I love negotiating. I love talking money with brands. I love haggling aspect and just seeing what I could get for my clients. So I guess I really love making my clients money. I always say this, I come from a very service-based career background. My first job was at Starbucks, where you prioritize all day long the guest experience and making sure that your customers have their third space away from work and home and they get their coffee. Ooh. And then I even worked at like Disney World, and that was really amazing. Just being able to see every single day how your attitude, the actions that you took had a direct impact on people's experiences at the park, like a vacation that they would save up for forever to take their family on. And it's so cool when you get to make a family's day and you get to give them something memorable to take back home. When I started doing a lot of like my own influencer work, I loved it because I love social media itself, but I didn't get that same sort of zazz and spark that I was getting from working at places like Starbucks and Disney, because I just basically became a billboard for brands, which is not a bad thing in hindsight, but for someone with my personality that prides myself on like making people happy and an impact, I was always missing that. I didn't feel that. So when I was able to finally get into providing services for other creators, and I'm already doing something in social media, which I love, and now I'm negotiating brand deals and doing that for them, and I get to hear my clients like, wow, thank you, Dani. This is awesome. I didn't even think I could get this brand deal, or, oh, thanks for doing XYZ. That means a lot to me. And it's kind of transformed the direction of my career, I'd say. So I'm super happy with the space I'm in. Earlier, I gave the range of I have clients with anywhere from 18,000, 20-ish thousand followers, upwards of the almost going on 1 million. And they're all making a full-time salary from being an influencer. But to take a step back, like even a lot of my course students, just other creators that I know who have 1,000 followers will start working with brands. And that's because you don't always need to do the really big sponsorships to make something lucrative for you. In this UGC space, I would consider a lot of that to be brand work as well. You can make a serious income from that, and you don't need a giant following, but you at least need to have the skills to be able to market your services, explain to brands the benefits of UGC, and actually create the content yourself. I know creators that also hit those $10,000 months from doing that as well. That's because they've just mastered the art of being able to tell a brand, hey, it's not really my following that you want to pay attention to, but I have this whole portfolio of work. I can create something similar for you and it would transform your brand. And that's the service that I offer. And there's other skills that it takes to get clients in that space, but you don't need that big of a following. But what I will say is at some point, I feel like a lot of content creators start to want to step out of that UGC space because getting a sponsorship can be so much more money in lump sum. If you can get a brand deal that it's literally a reel, you post on your feed, you have all of these different add-ons, like you give them the rights to this piece of content, they can boost, they can do this, they can do this. That can be like an $18,000 job, which is pretty huge for people. Whereas UGC, it might take you a few clients to like accumulate something like that, which there's no real wrong way to do this. If that's kind of where you're wanting to go, of getting these really big brand deals, at some point you're going to have to focus on growing your page. And maybe if you're starting with like, 1,000 followers, try to get to 10,000. And that's because in order to get more of those opportunities, you need to have a real core audience that trusts you. You need to be niched down. You need to have a recognizable brand that a company would be willing to go, oh yeah, Dani posts these kinds of videos and these are the people that she's speaking to. So I want to pay for ad space. Like if you even think about the conversations that revolve around those types of deals, you're dealing with a much different person than you are with like a UGC creator. At some point, make it a priority to grow your following if you want like those big ticket opportunities, but there's always something available for even smaller creators. Biggest brand deals have always come from some sort of blog integration with a sponsorship. I hear it from bloggers a lot where they say brands don't see the value in blogs. They do, but it's all about your approach. And there's a lot of different ways to work with brands in a blog capacity. You don't always need to give them a blog maybe on your site, but you can use your skills as a blogger and as a writer to give them something for their website, which actually you see see a lot with tourism boards. A lot of tourism boards want to grow their own blog presence. They don't necessarily want to pay for space on your blog, but you can offer to write them a post. And then where a lot of the money comes in too is if you're adding images to the post, you can give them the rights to those, which then starts to add some line items to your invoice. My biggest brand deals have always come with a mixture of I'm going to do a social post, and then I'm also going to do a blog post. And then I try to integrate a strategy like the Instagram post is going to drive traffic to the blog post. And then the blog post is going to have affiliates, which is going to turn into sales. So it can be so good for bloggers. To give like a number, I have a lot of clients who will do, and they don't even really have the biggest blog presence in the world. Some of them have maybe around like 50,000 to 100,000 followers. They'll do maybe a combo of a reel, a story set, and a blog post in some capacity on like a client's website for around like $5,000 to $8,000. A lot of that actually comes from just the blog itself because you have to write them. That costs money. You have to research them. That you should also charge for. And then again, these images that I'm saying you add as like a line item in there because a brand is getting those pictures that they wouldn't have had otherwise. Bloggers have a lot of opportunities for them. Where I see a lot of problems is a lot of bloggers try to tell brands, which there's nothing entirely wrong with this, but you always have to think from a goal perspective. Maybe you're like, I am going to write a blog on this Arizona, Utah road trip, and I researched this keyword and it is so easy to rank for. I'm going to give your product that I used on my road trip like this top spot, and it's going to be in there and it's going to get all of this traffic. But what's the user intent of that blog? They're probably looking for an itinerary. They're not really going on a shopping spree. So already that product integration doesn't really make the most sense. Maybe for this product that you're featuring too, their focus is on affiliate conversions and they just want to get a lot of sales. So you're just kind of like mixing and matching two different things that don't make too much sense. And when a brand goes with you and they're like, yeah, sure, maybe post that, and then they don't get the results, that starts to deter them from, well, maybe this blog stuff doesn't work. Instead, maybe you would do, hey, I could do like a gift guide. I could do a review. I could, again, like post a review on your site or some sort of rundown on like the top 10. There's so many different product posts that you can do. Gift guides, especially roundups of products. I am sure that there is a gazillion different things that Laura could think of to integrate a product on, but it is about matching that intent and their goal. If maybe it was a tourism board site and they had something really specific that they wanted you to write on, like an itinerary from ABCD, that might make some sense. But again, if you inquire and you ask about, well, what is your focus? And they say, well, we want to grow our own blog traffic, then you need to shift your offer to say, okay, I can write a post for you. You got a goal match. That's what I'm getting at here. You have to just always ask brands, what are you trying to focus on? What is your goal? These are the services I can offer, because they're looking to you to be a partner, not just this walking like, yeah, woohoo, post on my page. It'll be so cool. My followers will love it. Like you're almost an advisor, kind of a marketing consultant when you're getting into this space, and you need to tell brands what's best and why and show them proof of that, and really make sure again that you're goal matching and it makes sense for everyone. Just like one more little example of this, I actually did this with REI, and this was a long game that I played. But again, long story long but short. They had reached out to me at some point and they wanted one Instagram post, and I did the Instagram post. But when I got this brand deal, I was like, this is REI. For me, being in this Dani the Explorer adventure hiker 2000 girl, like this is cream of the crop. I want them to be a partner. So I went all out. I made sure that I shared my ideas with them, concepts, got approval. I gave them a mood board for what I wanted to do for this one Instagram post. I could have just been like, yeah, send me a sleeping bag and just posted it. But I established myself as that consultant partner position from the get-go. I was like, hey, this is the concept. This is the mood board. This is why I'm thinking this will work work with my audience. And then after that, I sent them a KPI report, like a campaign report with a rundown of how everything did, comments my audience made, like, oh, when I posted this, they said they wanted those hiking shoes so bad, blah, blah, blah. And then I told them I would love to keep in touch and just think if we turn this into some sort of long-term brand deal, I have other ideas too, what we could possibly do, because my audience was very like turned on by this. They loved it. Months went by, months went by. I followed up just to ping, hey, like I have some travels coming up. I have some ideas I want to explore. Like, let me know when you're ready to have those conversations. This is like months going down of me just like following up, nurturing this relationship, even liking their posts on their Instagram, like interacting with stuff, not just being like, pay me, but like showing that I care. I want to be there for this brand. And then finally, when they had more budget, they're like, hey, we want to do that long-term brand deal with you. What do you got? And I shared with them again, ideas. We had phone calls. I had actually even met them at their offices, which a lot of people being in this virtual space forget that like in-person interaction and touches can really set you apart from other creators. So if you have the room to get coffee with someone, like if you're in the same area as a brand, or even go to some sort of like big event or something rather to meet with sponsors, it can make a huge difference. I established myself in that partner space. I told them in a perfect world what I would love to see our partnership look like, et cetera, et cetera. And granted, they were very open to this, which I got lucky in that sense. We did a multi-tiered partnership, then later on turned that into another partnership for the holidays, doing like a gift guide. So you talk about this in the span of a year, REI was one of my prime partners, and it started by me doing a good job in the beginning, but just being that consultant person. And it's not as difficult as it sounds. It's just being very intentional with what you're telling brands, with how you're interacting them, and doing a lot of showing of, hey, look at how my audience is responding to this. They're so excited about it. These are some ideas I think would really work for you. When I look at your guys' Instagram page, I don't see a lot of this content, but I can create it for you. Oh, you have an affiliate. I can do product blogs. Being that partner that they want to see, make it so easy for them. They get like hit up by influencers and creators wanting to do things for them all day long, but just want a paycheck at the end of the day. So you just have to show that you care. Put that employee brain on. I work for you. Yeah, for the company. And that attitude does get you really far in the freelance space. I can't even really take credit for this one. I heard it on a Clubhouse and I was like, that's a really good way to put it. It's what I call massaging the brand. And that's kind of what I alluded to with the REI example of, granted, they had reached out to me and I nurtured that relationship from there. But even before that, when I would post things about my adventures, I would tag REI in stories. Even if someone wasn't going to reach out to me, I still joined their affiliate program and posted about their products. Even if my followers weren't always buying, I was doing a lot of this slow burn kind of build up for a while. They would be naturally integrated into my blogs. And it was just all with the intention that I think if I post about them enough organically, if I start sharing their stuff with my audience, eventually they'll have to see it. If not, eventually I can turn that into something that I can use to reach out to them and show them proof points. So what am I getting at? A lot of creators these days almost refuse to talk about a brand and mention them if they're not getting paid for it. I've even seen some influencers and creators go as far as to say, well, I'm not even going to talk about these hiking boots that I love or whatever, because they don't have an affiliate program and I can't get paid to do it. I kind of think that's small thinking. I used to think that way as well. When you think about working with brands and being in this consultant space, at some point, a brand is going to say to you, can you show me what you've done before? Like, what does your portfolio look like, et cetera, et cetera. And if you've always stayed away from talking about services and products that you are genuinely super excited about organically with your audience, you're not going to have a whole lot of proof points to maybe show them. There's something really different about the way that we talk about the the lip balm that we use every single day versus the one that I'm just showing you on my story because I have an affiliate for it. Like, it comes off so much more natural. You might even see me using said lip balm in my stories without me ever mentioning what it is because it's just a part of my everyday life. And I would say if you want to start getting paid by brands, you need to add that element back into your content. Not everything has to be a money-making opportunity right off the bat. It can be that super slow burn. Again, going back to that REI example, there are countless posts on my page where I'm wearing leggings, a sweater, again, boots, and I got them from REI. I paid for them with my own money, but I didn't get paid at all. At the time, I wasn't even a part of their affiliate program for a lot of this stuff. I was just sharing it because these are literally the products that I use and I enjoy, and there's no way to get around it. I'm not just gonna like put on a sweater that I have stored in my backpack because look, this is my affiliate. Yay, I never wore this before, but it's great. I just shared about things that I genuinely loved, and your audience appreciates that too, and that nurtures that relationship. So all this to say is if you can do those little natural integrations, maybe eventually you can join an affiliate program, whatever. You can take all of those natural organic integrations and you can turn them into a case study. You can accumulate all the times you've ever mentioned your favorite lip balm, all the times you've ever mentioned that favorite sweater, and see the insights. How many shares did those posts get? How many likes? Did you get anybody asking, Dani, what's that lip balm from your stories? Like something, make that into some sort of testimonial case study. And then when your time comes and it's like, you've been nurturing this, you've been mentioning this brand on your stories, maybe finally you got like a contact email or something, or maybe they slid into your DMs, you can send that off to them and be like, I've been doing so much slow burn massaging natural buildup on my pages. And I think if we put some money behind this and made it into like a whole paid thing, this can go really well for us. It takes a while. It's not quick, but even bloggers, for example, if there are just things that you genuinely recommend, love, enjoy, and you're not going to make a dime from it, still please like share it and keep track of the clicks and any analytics that you think would be really helpful for companies because it can pay off at some point. You just might not see the results right away. People like to say, be authentic, but yeah, be authentic with your recommendations and keep track of all those numbers because it can help you get brand deals in the future. My favorite tip for people just getting started, and this is also for people that are still in this space, your connections will go a really long way. I always suggest sign up for every single little influencer platform like Aspire IQ, Collectively, etc., because there are real humans behind those that will see your profile and maybe reach out and you could add, their contact info to your Rolodex as you get it. PR agencies, you could take your favorite brand and then the plus sign on Google press release, and you can search for any time that your favorite brand, tourism board, etc., has been in the media and find a contact there. When you get these contacts, send them your profile, send them your media kit without the intention of, hey, I want to pitch you this big thing. Just, hey, if you're ever looking in casting creators for a campaign, here's my information. I'd love to be considered in the future. Like, start putting your name out there as many times as you can with those PR agencies, those influencer platforms, even at networking events. If you can go to a lot of the different travel summits and stuff that there are out there, when you do that, you'd be surprised by how many PR agencies, influencer managers and stuff end up reaching out to you later to cast you for opportunities. It's not always cold pitching companies and stuff that's going to get you somewhere. It's sometimes just like sending them links to your profiles in the hopes that they'll reach out to you in the future, which usually they do. So people just take that for granted. I do have a media kit checklist. It includes 20 things that I believe need to be on a media kit based on my 8 years of experience. That's free to download. So if someone's looking to create a media kit from scratch, that could be an especially helpful resource. my course, hashtag sponsored bootcamp, is my baby. That's my bread and butter. I can talk about brand deals, nurturing relationships, and getting them all day long. And my whole goal with that course is to help new and even experienced creators land paid brand deals consistently and make it a dialed in part of their income stream. Whether that means you're doing it full or part-time, because I have a lot of students that do both. Sponsored Bootcamp is an 8-module course that folks get lifetime access to. It includes everything from how are you going to successfully niche down to speak to one person. We go into growth as well. And then finally, all of that paid brand deal stuff. So even the things I talked about today with massaging the brand, how do you actually write a pitch? What do you eventually charge? How do you build packages and upsell them? What does negotiation look like with back and forth? Like, how can I even facilitate that conversation? It's all in there. I include emails from my own negotiation and inbox in there for people to see, tons of different templates and resources. And then, of course, we have community spaces for other students to connect. That is my best, most tailored resource. If you want to land paid brand deals, that's where I would go is hashtag sponsored bootcamp.
A huge thank you to my good friend Dani from Dani The Explorer for sharing such valuable tips and tricks with us today. You can find all the links that we mentioned in this video in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video.